Hey guys, somebody asked me to address a statement from earlier, and I said that I would. Everybody knows, unless you're living under a rock, about the recent lynchings that went on. The gentleman, Alton Sterling, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name because this happened earlier. I saw it earlier today, but both of them were basically lynched by the police. And of course there's an investigation that probably won't go anywhere, and everybody's now trying to shuffle. And I just watched it on the news, and everybody's like, oh, they're saying all the right things, but we all know what happens. They say all the right things and then nothing happens. It happens every time. So they're going through that process again. And I was making statements about it on Facebook, and somebody had asked me my feelings about it. And I was like, for the most part, I gave my statement about how I felt about police brutality. And then I was like, but what really pisses me off are the Uncle Toms. So this person was like, what is an Uncle Tom? So I was going to tell you guys that an Uncle Tom or an Aunt Tom is a person who is constantly working against the interests of the African American community, but it's a person who is of African American or African descent. So it's a Southern saying, an old Southern saying. And so these people are part of the community, but they're always speaking against the community. They're part of the community, but they do nothing for the community. These people are extremely selfish. They usually don't see themselves in this way, though. They usually think they're being progressive, or they're being analytical, or something like that they'll call it. But really what they're doing is just being a coward. Because at the end of the day, the Uncle Tom is either selfish and concerned mostly about their own interest, or the Uncle Tom just doesn't care. Or the Uncle Tom is afraid, that's where the cowardice comes in, to address any of these issues. So instead of addressing it, they deflect from it. The Uncle Tom is the person who, when somebody gets shot, like Alton Sterling did the other day, the Uncle Tom will not say anything about it, but they'll come on their Facebook page and say, well, everybody's mad about what happened, but what about black on black crime? Everybody's mad about what happened, but what about what happened to that white guy over in Texas? They'll just start deflecting with topics that are not relevant to the event at all. And that's not to say that the topics that they're pulling up are not important. Black on black crime is a very big issue in some places that does need to be addressed, but that's not what we're talking about. And that's what pisses me off about them, is that they constantly deflect the conversation away from what you're talking about to their freaking agenda. And the reason is not even because they rather talk about that agenda. The reason is to get you off of what you're talking about. It's called deflection. So instead of addressing your issue, they deflect it to another issue that they're not going to address either. So traditionally, the Uncle Tom was the slave, or the enslaved person, who went and told massa when the other slaves were getting ready to run away. That's the Uncle Tom. The Uncle Tom energy comes across in that way, and like I said, in modern times, it comes off as the person that's just sitting around talking shit, and they're not doing anything for the community. They're usually talking about what they used to do for the community, or what they thought about for the community, or their ideas for the community, but they haven't done shit. And if they have done anything, they ain't doing nothing now, and most of them never did anything at all. Likewise, they'll just sit around talking garbage about the community. Well, if he was shot, what did he do? Was he resisting arrest? They'll say stuff like that, but they'll miss the point that people are systematically being murdered. They'll miss that point every time, and they'll deflect you right back to some other nonsense. So that's the Uncle or the Aunt Tom, as I would call them. Some people will call the Aunt Thomasima, but I call them both Uncle Tom, Uncle or Aunt Tom, if I feel like being fancy about it. But at the end of the day, it's the same energy. It's a person in the African American community who fucking sucks, and I am disgusted with them. And the biggest problem we have with these Uncle Toms is they're in our families, they're in your family, they're in your block, they're your friends. These people are all around you, and some of the times they're really good to you. Some of the times they're good to you personally, they're cool with you, but then when something pops off, they go to that deflection shit. And you're looking at them like, I personally have Uncle Toms in my life. Not many. And I do admit that I struggle with that. During times of strife, I try to just not get in conversations with them, because I will get pissed and stop talking to them. I've done it in the past, and I'd rather not go that route again with anybody. So I'm trying to just ignore, but I haven't reconciled it. It's really, really difficult. Most of the time when Uncle Toms come around, I get rid of them, because at the end of the day, they're probably going to tell on me or do something that's going to get me in some shit. So usually I get rid of them, but we can't get rid of all of them because there's millions of them, and some of them are related to us. So it's very unfortunate. You can't really reason with them. They're dissolved in self-hate or apathy. It's just ridiculous. And every time something pops off, here they go again with the bullshit. Okay, that's the first part. That's what the Uncle Tom is. The other part is this. Somebody was asking me about my plans. I wanted to tell you guys that for those of us that are here in America, while you're here, you should be organizing. You should be getting involved with grassroots movements. You should be getting involved with Black Lives Matter, the Black Panther Party, any group that's coming together to fight injustice, that is reasonably successful at it. I would say, join these groups. Don't just sit on Facebook talking and arguing with people about what's happening. That's not going to help anything. Get off your butt and write your congressman. Join a group. Start doing something to better your community. Do something. And that's the word, do. Do something. Talk is cheap. We talk too damn much. Do something. And that's what I was, that's one of the things I was going to tell people. It's some more stuff to it that I'm going to do in a video tomorrow. But for today, just know, do something. Now, another thing I wanted to say, that's why you're still here. If you don't have to be here, don't stay. And I know some people are like, well, we built this country. Yeah, we really did. But guess what? This country is going to hell in a handbasket. And you don't have to stay here for it. If you have a high school diploma, if you have the most basic of skills, you can get jobs in certain places. Those of you that are educated, check out teaching abroad. Teaching English abroad, there's lots of places that are more peaceful that are paying teachers to teach English. There's all kinds of stuff going on around the world. Look into it. Don't feel like you're trapped here. Leave. If one of the things I read somewhere, it said, if people do not appreciate your presence, let them appreciate your absence. We can leave. We can leave. There's all kinds of places we can go. You can go to Costa Rica. You can go to Canada. You can go back to Africa. You can go anywhere you want to. But find a spot that is relatively peaceful and relatively peaceful, and you don't have mass shootings every couple of days, and you don't have people getting gunned down every other day. Find some place that's relatively peaceful. Find something you can do there, economically speaking, and fucking leave. Just know that we can leave the racists and the Uncle Toms and Aunt Toms right here to destroy each other. You don't have to stay here. And I just wanted to say that to people, because I don't think everybody really thinks about that. I think a lot of people are just like, either wanting to work to make it better, which I do recommend if you're here. While you're here, keep working to make it better. And I don't think people really realize you don't have to stay here. So do consider that. Think about that. Think about that fact. And I'm going to give you full disclosure. I'm not planning on staying here. I'm planning on going to Costa Rica. I'm looking into right now how I can teach English in Costa Rica. And my daughter, who has a high school diploma and is in college, how she can do the same thing. I'm trying to get us both out of here. There are other opportunities too all over the world. So consider that as well. You do not have to stay here and put up with this shit. And I just wanted to point that out to people, because I don't think everybody considers that. But you don't. And for many of us, it's time to go. It's time to go and let this blood-soaked land choke itself. So I just wanted to put that out there to let people know what's really good. Now you can sip on that tea. And remember what I always tell people. If you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you are indifferent, you're part of the problem. If you're neutral, you're part of the problem. If you're deflecting, you're part of the problem. Don't be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. If we're talking about apples, stick on a conversation of apples and help us pick these damn apples. And then tomorrow, after we got the basket full, let's talk about the oranges. This is Queen Aset Haru. Peace.